It's just more money to be made for you, me, and your family if we partnered up. Build your kingdom. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking legacy. Uncle T. So what you say? Start some or what?
They say this is a big rich town.
Now, in today's breakdown, we're going to be discussing the end of power. 50 Cent made a post on social media where he said New Heat is on the way. I think this is going to be the last spin-off. Then I'm done with the Power universe. Just in my last Power universe update, I even questioned what happens after Legacy. Ironically, I even questioned where do they take the world of Power after Tommy and Tariq spin-off. I spoke about the angle of Ghost Brother, where they could have this brand new fresh Power show that's completely dissociated with OG Power, but you have a character like Ghost Brother which still connects the two worlds together. That's definitely one way they can keep the Power fans invested, because even though we have 50 Cent saying he's possibly done with Power after Power Legacy, one, we have to remember, this is 50 Cent we're talking about, he's the master of marketing, and it could just be another way to get more eyes on the final show just by saying this is the last Power show. And two, even if he is done with Power, just like when Courtney Kemp left, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end. I personally don't think it will be, and I will run through my thoughts as to why, so that's the agenda for today's breakdown. We're going to be discussing a bit about Power Legacy, and 50 Cent teasing the end of the world of Power. Now, I do think first things first, we have to talk about the green light for Power Legacy first, because we still haven't got the official confirmation that Power Legacy has been greenlit. But the fact that we have 50 Cent mentioning on social media that New Heat is on the way with a picture of Tommy and Tariq, I do think that basically confirms Power Legacy is due to be greenlit, and that Deadline article that basically confirms it, that Deadline article that probably gives us our first tease around what the show will be centered around in terms of its plot and storyline, that's pretty much around the corner. I wouldn't be surprised if the announcement does come this week, because 50 Cent does kind of tend to jump the gun a lot when it comes to Power, putting out news on social media just before things get confirmed. But those who have been following him for a while, especially when it comes to content around Power, sometimes he will jump the gun and post something before the official announcement, before the official Deadline article is released. He's done it countless of times before, just posting random pictures or things when it comes to Raising Kanan. And this is probably the case here with Power Legacy. I do think that news around Power Legacy will come very, very soon. And when it does, we'll definitely dig into it in a bit more detail and whether that article kind of tells us that's the last Power show or anything else. Now, with that being said, let's move on and talk about the end of Power. Now, the second part of 50 Cent's post read the following: I think this is going to be the last spin-off, then I'm done with the Power universe. So is this really the end? Now, I've been talking about this subject for quite a while. For those who have been following me know I've been questioning what comes after Power Legacy. When you think about it on the surface, just from a storyline perspective, you can probably make a very good argument where, yeah, it probably does make sense that the world ends after Power Legacy. In some kind of way, it is kind of poetic to end with both Power Legacy and Power Origins being the last two shows, because on one hand, you have Origins, which is the story of Tommy, Ghost, Kanan, and Breeze, which is the beginning of how everything started. And on the other side, in the current day timeline spin-off, you have Power Legacy, which basically symbolizes the end. It is quite poetic in a way, with finishing on both the beginning, being Power Origins, and the end, Power Legacy. You also have to question, what can they possibly do with characters like Tommy, Tariq, Tasha, Blanca Rodriguez, and countless of other characters that have been on our screens for many, many years. Only recently, just in my last breakdown, I even mentioned, it's very difficult from a storyline perspective to go back to New York. One, because Tommy's supposed to be dead in New York, which they can easily find a workaround, figure out a storyline where he is able to operate back in New York, but more so difficult because they've been there and done that. Nobody wants to see them have trouble with a connect, them having to kill a connect, and then another one pops up, same shit over and over again. I don't think anybody wants to see that. And I did mention, from a writer's point of view, I do think that's going to be the challenge for Gary Lennon and his team. How do they really get us invested in this show? I believe that they can, and they definitely will, just like they were able to turn around Power Book 4 Force. That show made a dreadful start, to say the least. But this final season of Force Season 3, it had everybody basically saying, this show deserves one more season. So with Gary Lennon at the helm, I do think he will be able to write a very compelling storyline that's at least on par, or if not better than what he was able to do with Force Season 3. I've personally got some theories of my own, and over the next week or so, I definitely will be releasing that on Tommy and Tariq. But generally, that's the difficult part here with Power Legacy, them going back to New York where they've been there and done that. With characters like Tariq, Tasha, and Tommy as well, I mean, how far do you really go with their character arcs? What can you do with them that's not already been done before? Let's just take Tommy as an example. He's been there and done that from New York to Chicago. We've already seen him and Ghost build what they built, or where they continue to do so in Power Origins, just from the perspectives of their younger characters. But we saw what they built in Power. We saw him lose countless of loved ones, from Holly, Lakeisha, Ghost, JP, Liliana, being betrayed by countless of others. He was run out of New York at the end of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 1. We saw him build back up from the ground up in Chicago and find a new love interest in Maria. He also now has a baby on the way. I personally think they pretty much covered everything that you possibly can with a character like Tommy. Or by the end of Power Legacy they would have, with the Italian story arc and everything else, because then you can finish his story arc in the right way, whether that be in Power Legacy or in the Power movies that they definitely have been also teasing. And that's also another point I'm going to come to in just a moment, of how Power never ends. But they've also been teasing the end of Tommy Egan's story arc, and when you're talking about the end of Tommy Egan, when you're teasing the end of Tommy Egan's story arc, a character that's been a staple for Power for over 10 years, it definitely is the end of an era. It's the end of Power as we know it. So just taking Tommy's character as an example, it does kind of make sense to kind of just end this world after Power Legacy, or at least after the Power movies. And the same goes for your characters like Tasha and Tariq. Tommy's had his own show, Tariq's also now had his own show, and now you're combining both of them under one roof. You can make a very good argument where, yeah, I mean, it does make sense. After Power Legacy, if they hit us with the end, that's all folks, you can probably make a very good argument where that's where it should probably end, at least this particular world of Power. However, this is Power, and we know what they're like. We know what 50 Cent is like. He's a marketing genius, and over the years, they have continuously teased us with Power never ends. And so do I believe the world of Power will end after Power Legacy? Yeah, I do, and no, I don't. I do think the world of Power as we know it will end in terms of the characters and the OG players of the game, such as Tommy, Tariq, and Tasha. But will it be the end of the Power universe? I personally don't think so. I'll believe it when I see it, but I genuinely don't think it will. And that's what we're going to discuss next. Now, over on X, I posted pretty much straight away. Even though I do believe and have been saying for a while that at some point Power should end, if you guys think this is the end of Power, no chance. You should definitely know 50 Cent by now. He's a marketing genius, and even if he is done with Power, it doesn't stop stars from creating more shows, which personally, I think they will. Just recently they posted 17 million subscribers in the last quarter for 2025, which Power Force played a very big role in. They constantly tease Power never ends, and even though I do think this particular world will end, there will also be another one that follows. Now, I do stick by what I said on X. 50 Cent is known to be a marketing genius. He'll say one thing but then completely do the opposite. They've been doing this shit with Power for many years, and in my opinion, it could just be classic 50 Cent playing chess, as he always is, stirring up some drama online by saying he's done with Power and acting like Power Legacy will be his last Power show, because then that will just bring more viewers to it. Think about what they did with the last 2 seasons of Power Book 4 Force. Around Season 2 Episode 5, there was a big rumour of Ghost returning, which stemmed from a post from Joseph Sikora. Fast forward to 4 Season 3, again, Amari Hardwick just magically appeared on the cast of IMDb, and it definitely created a huge hype around social media. Same thing here. Saying it's the last show on social media will only bring more eyes, more numbers, more viewers, and more subscribers. That's number 1. Number 2, even if 50 Cent says he's done with Power, which may be true, but it doesn't necessarily mean stars are done. Just recently they hit some big subscriber numbers, which Force played a very big role in, along with Spartacus. If you then lose that, where does that leave your subscriber base? Power has a very big audience base, and for as long as there's an audience, they will continue creating more shows. It really is as simple as that. Whether you think the entire Power universe should end or not, whether you decide to check out after 50 Cent does, and check out after Power Legacy, that's up to you. But Power still has a very big audience base, and the recent numbers from Power Book 4 Force definitely proves it, and you can't argue with that fact. Power still does pull some big numbers across the board for stars, and I really don't think that's something they'll just end after Power Legacy. For one, they've been teasing Power movies that will come after Power Legacy, a Tommy Egan movie that may potentially finish off Tommy Egan's story arc, so that's potentially one way in which how Power will most likely continue after Power Legacy. A Power movie or a couple of movies which they may turn into a trilogy or a series of movies. Just recently I also spoke about Ghost Brother, and just as a refresher for those who may not have seen my previous update on the Power universe, this is what Courtney Kemp had to say on Ghost potentially having a secret brother.
Does Ghost have a secret sister? No. not a sister. Hint, 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 hint.
Now, if you end the world of Power as we know it after Legacy and the Power movies, I do think that does make perfect sense. But if you do want to continue the world of Power and have a completely fresh new spin, maybe in a new city with a completely fresh new set of players, why not have Ghost Brother as the main player? He's someone who doesn't necessarily have to be in the game. He could be in business, law, politics, law enforcement, who knows? But if you want to bring a fresh, brand new angle to Power, but still have some level of connection where the audience can stay connected by having someone connected to Ghost, that's possibly one angle I would really love to see. A brand new Power show that brings something fresh and a new angle to the Power universe, but you still have it tie into the audience's favorite character. That definitely is one way Power can continue, and no doubt in the background they will be thinking of what comes after Power Legacy. I have no doubt. With or without 50 Cent, Stars will continue with Power, just like they continued with Power after Courtney Kemp went to Netflix. And that's number 3. 50 Cent can leave in the same way Courtney Kemp did, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the end. It's then the job of Stars, because I believe they own the IP, and many people like Gary Lennon and Sasha Penn to maybe keep us invested in potential new shows or other showrunners. And I can guarantee if people like Sasha Penn are involved, if Gary Lennon is involved, then I do think Power still remains in safe hands. As I mentioned before, Power continued after Courtney Kemp stepped away, and recently we started to see the best Power we've seen for a very long time. For Season 3 was great, Raising Kanan has been amazing, and judging by the teaser alone for Season 5, we know the final season alone, in my opinion, has the potential to be up there as the very best Power season of all time. So just because 50 Cent says he's done with Power, it doesn't necessarily mean Stars are done and they're done creating new shows. Again, it will always come back to the bottom line, and the bottom line is the money and the numbers, the subscribers that Power contribute to. If the audience base is there, if the numbers are there, which I do think they always will be with how big Power is, they definitely will continue creating new shows. Which, after Power Legacy, I do think a new world of Power will be born. They could have Ghost Brother, a brand new show, a political spin-off, which was Influence, that would have centered around Rashad Tate. That definitely would bring a fresh new angle to the world of Power, and I do think that's something a lot of people have warmed towards over the years. At least that's what I've gathered from the sentiment in the comment section. So, in short, for as long as there's an audience, they will continue creating shows. It's as simple as that. Power never ends. With or without Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent, they can still create new Power shows, and I personally think they will. I think it will be the end of an era and the end of this particular world. I do think Tom Egan may potentially die. It could very well also be the end of Tariq's character. Maybe he goes to prison. I do think the time has come to end this particular world, but I do think they can do so much more with other characters. And as I mentioned, one that could really keep the Power fans invested is the storyline around Ghost Brother, because clearly Courtney Kemp did have something in mind. With that being said, drop me your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you guys think it's the end of the world of Power? Do you believe 50 Cent? Or are you guys on the same wavelength as me? 50 Cent could be using this as another marketing technique to get more eyes on Power Legacy, or he could be definitely done, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of Power. Or do you actually believe Power Legacy is actually the end? In my opinion, this particular world of Power will end for sure, but a new one will also begin. Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.